In the mix with DJ Rambo Rich.
Okay, so welcome to the What's That Music About podcast. I'm your host, DJ Rambo Rich, and today's guest is a legendary DJ from the Lancashire area. He's been on Rock FM, and I'm really privileged to actually have him as a guest. As a young Lancashire lad myself, I've listened to Rock FM for many a time, so it feels like full circle speaking to a legend of the DJ world. It's the one and only Mr. Mark Freejack.
Woohoo! The crowd goes wild and goes, who? How we doing, Richie? You all right, pal?
I'm good. Like I said in the intro there, I really appreciate you giving me your time. And
That's okay.
You were so humble when I asked you. I was like, gosh, I love that. But yeah, so if you just introduce yourself, and
okay.
We'll take it from there. So yeah.
Right. Well, my name's Mark Freejack. I've been DJing before time was invented. I've been there, done that, sold the T-shirt, even got the VHS recording as well.
I love that. So yeah, just to start this off, I thought I'd ask you. So obviously Rock FM, and just tell us a bit of some of the highlights that you would consider like your favourite moments of your career, because it's the first time I've had a guest with such a rich like history of DJing. So I want to make sure that I ask the questions that I feel like people would want to hear. You see, so give us some highlights of like the ups.
Do you want me to start where we began?
We can do, yeah.
Okay, no pressure. 1982, 83, which is quite a long time ago. I was a farmer's lad in Ribchester, and I was bored. We had school, there was no internet, 3 channels on the TV, and my only escape from the monotonous life of farming was music. And I used to go to the local record shop with all my wages and spend all my money on records. 7 inches, 12 inches, imports, this, that, the other. And then I was at Longridge High School in 1984. And in 1985, when Dead or Alive, You Spin Me Right Round Like a Record Baby Right Round was out, I got the 12 inch of that. And at queuing up for dinner at school, there was a notice on the notice board what says, person required to play records at Roller Disco Longridge Sports Centre, please apply. I was the age of 13, 14, and I applied for it. And they wouldn't let me do it because I needed tax reference, because obviously needed to be over 16. Yeah. So I got my friend Darren Mason, who was older than me, to pretend to be me, and we got his details, and I turned up, funny enough, on Bonfire Night, 1985, at Longridge Sports Centre with a bag of 7-inch records, a microphone, and they had, are you ready? 1 turntable. So we had to play the records, talk in between, play the records, talk in between. And it was something like, I think, in the region of 7 o'clock till 9. And that was my first ever DJ gig.
I love that, because if you like fast forward, you'd be doing the Rock FM with the talking like in between tracks. So it's like I hate to say the word foreshadowing, but of like the future, what was to come. So I love that.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because I'll give you a good quote here, and then I'll explain why. Anybody can DJ nowadays. Anybody.
Yeah.
But not everybody can entertain. Like that.
Yeah. I love that.
When I was DJing, I started doing Phoenix night stuff like working men's clubs, 18s, 21st, bar mitzvahs, funerals, anything, and I could DJ. And I was a mobile disc jockey with a lot of kit. We travelled around in a van. We did gigs for 50 quid here, there, and everywhere, and that was it. And then round about 88, I got a tape off of a friend of mine which said, just on it, Acid House.
Right.
Listen to that, blew my mind. The rest is history, as they say. And the only outlet for music then, there was no internet, would be certain pirate radio stations. New Dawn Meeting the Minds in Stoke. Piccadilly Key 103 had the legendary Late But Great, and I was privileged to know him, Stu Allen. They had On the Wire with Gary Hickson on BBC Radio Lancashire, where they played old school hip hop like Public Enemy, Silver Bullet. This is all in the late 80s, before we
Yeah,
even got
yeah,
into the 90s.
yeah. I mean, I'm a kid of 91, so I'm
Well,
not even in.
1991, yeah, I was knee deep in raves here, there, and everywhere throughout the UK. It was an amazing, almost. I look at it with rose tinted glasses. I was so lucky to be in the right place at the right time,
Yeah,
hearing the right kind of music, and there was also a. It was almost like a political movement where people had been in Thatcher's Britain, people had been depressed and oppressed, and music was a massive outlet. And it was like,
yeah,
you might have heard the term lightning in the bottle.
yeah,
People discovered, obviously, music, drugs, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's always been around. But music, and it was totally different. It was something where people could come, dance, and you could be black, white, gay, straight, lesbian, whatever, from all different walks of life, from a guy in a suit to a guy who worked down coal mines or wherever.
yeah,
We could all be in one and all got along with each other. It was an amazing. It sounds too hard to believe nowadays, but
yeah,
that
yeah.
actually did happen.
Yeah.
That happened, and yeah, that was the rave scene, so to speak. And it was amazing.
I mean, I love that, and I love how, like you were saying about how, like, doesn't matter your background, everyone was welcome, and we were all there for the music, and I
Yeah.
love that, and I want more of that today. Obviously, there's reasons and difficulties because why that can't happen, but I feel like people I hang with, we do try and make that happen, and hopefully that can come back because I'd love that
Well,
to be the
music
case.
connects us all, and
Yeah,
music is a universal language. And some people may not be into that kind of music you like.
yeah,
It's almost like a chef. Some chefs don't like chicken. Other chefs do chicken. Me, I specialise now in old school dance music. Not your Robin S's and your Rhythm is a Dancer, which are great records in their own
yeah.
right. But those records where you go, shit, I forgot about that. I remember that. I met my missus to that. I met this, met that. And what I found now in 2025, I'm meeting 18 to 25-year-old younger people who go, I've got tapes of you. You know me dad. My dad used to come and watch you DJ. Have you got this record, Arms Loren? And I go, Steinway mix, 1996. Yeah, well, I was born in 95. You shouldn't know that, but they do know it.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say this. I sometimes I DJ at a place called Vestry in Chorley, and
I know that, Ange and the crew. Yeah.
yeah, they're lovely, lovely people, and I've played some like older school music. I would say 90s, like sort of stuff, and they love it. Like, and it's like
Yeah.
18-year-olds, like you say, and I just think it's because obviously when I was a kid, that was the music of my childhood. So like it makes me so happy that I can play something and a different generation can get it, and like we're all joining together to like the same music. It's great, like I say.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely. Some kind of
shared
music.
experience.
Yeah, and some kind of music, what you play, I play, somebody else, it transcends everything of in time and space, and it just connects over time. Yeah, you can get into like classical music. This is where I start getting a bit weird, like Tchaikovsky, Bach, things like that. That's all classical music. Then you're getting into your 1920s blues and rhythm, and then you can get into your backbeat, your Beatles, your Stones. You get into your big fan, me, Pet Shop Boys from the 80s and Pink Floyd from the 70s. Pink Floyd, everyone goes on about the Dark Side of the Moon. For me, the Animals album is my favourite album.
I'm gonna have
This
to give
guy's
that a
like
look
Brian.
up.
Absolutely. KLF 1991, Jimmy Colty and Bill Drummond did an album, the first ever chill out album, called, guess what? Chill Out. Have a look at that. But they also followed up with the KLF, which was groundbreaking. And the KLF did another album called The White Room. And they actually wrote a book saying how to have a number one. There's documentaries you can find about the KLF. Musical is such a great history of music,
Yeah.
what we've had in this country, So there's a bit of an insight. There's a few bit of homework spotting there. And when you've listened to them, I want a message to say, I've listened to that.
I definitely will. When I edit the episode, I write down because I'm dyslexic. Sometimes I forget how to spell things, so it does an automatic thing on my software where it'll have all the transcripts of the whole conversation, so I can just look at it, and so that's good. So yeah, so what So what was your earliest memory of music then? I think you've sort of touched on that a bit, but like, what was the first
My
time?
earliest memory was my mum picking me up on a Saturday and we're going shopping, and she was playing a track called Jungle Rock or Saturday Night at the Duck Pond, which I think was 1965, 66. And me and my mum singing along in the car to it. And then hearing stuff like by Tangerine Dream, the Beatles. I was never really big into the Beatles, believe it or not. Shock horror. I was more into like weird electronic stuff like Brian Eno, Tangerine Dream. And then obviously in the 80s, you became into Depeche Mode, Yazoo, Vince Clarke, New Order, for instance, obviously Blue Monday and all that sort of stuff. So I was more into you shouldn't like that kind of music. You should, instead of the popular stuff what we're throwing down everybody's throat. There's nothing wrong with pop music because
Yeah,
the clue in the title is popular music. That's where it comes from. And also I touched on before when I said I did a mobile disc jockeying. Sometimes one night I'll be doing, somebody's 18th birthday, playing the Birdies song, Agadoo, Looks Upside Your Head, whatever. The night after, I was knee deep in a rave, playing a load of rave tunes. And back in the day, I got a bit of hassle because I walked both sides of the fence, but I made a good few quid out of that. And I took it as in a YTS. You might not remember what a YTS scheme was, a youth training scheme by the government where you worked all week for 27 quid.
Right.
I was learning my YTS scheme of playing all different types of music. We even did stage shows in nightclubs and stuff. And nightclubs back in the 80s and early 90s was almost like a mythical key to another kingdom.
Right.
Where you literally struggle to get in. It's hard to believe that now, but back then you wore a shirt, tie, and a suit to get into clubs.
Yeah. I mean,
and the club,
yeah.
And the clubs would supply the records for you to play.
Gosh, that's crazy. I mean, the closest I can think of where like people dressing up was I remember watching something about garage music in the 90s, and they like I was watching a documentary, and because obviously I was quite young at the start of the 90s, they were all like all these like black people. They were all like dressed in like suits and ties, and one of them would have like a bowler hats and stuff. And it's funny you mentioned that, like like these days people turn up in like their trainers, and
here's one for you, but then. Back then, like for instance, that'd be all like the Twice as Nice crew, and you'd have the Dream Team, DJ Spoonie's on Radio 2 now. Everybody made an effort, and that. Then the rave scene was baggy jeans, bell-bottom jeans, rave hoods. Here's one for you: Gatecrasher, early noughties. Look up Cyber Kids.
Right.
All right.
I definitely
That's
will.
all.
Yeah.
Some wild outfits then. Sunday Essential, that were wild as well, Nowadays, everybody dresses differently, and sometimes it can be a mark of your personality. If you're introverted, that can help. When I believe it or not, I'm actually quite introverted, but when I was that obviously Mark Freejack's not my real name, but Mark Freejack is the DJ. My real name, I'm quite shy and behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's what we all suffer from, us DJs as well.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, definitely. I've got a few friends that are like that, and like in the normal day-to-day situation, say if we go for a drink or something, like quite quiet. But when they're behind the decks, it's like they're a different animal. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. You put your artist mode on and you just crack on with it. You know what I mean? And if somebody's looking at you, sometimes it'll put me on a wobbler. And I got taught by, I'll drop a few names around Preston and the UK, like Des Grant, still knocking around, Simba's dad, legend. Martin Dobson taught me to mix, absolute giant of a man, of a legend. A guy called Kev Brennan, sadly who's not with us anymore, taught me how to read a crowd. Glenn Miller, who's still knocking around town, Glenn taught me how to entertain people. And it's quite important to pass that knowledge on to other people. And you call them sprog jocks. I used to carry the records in and just hang around DJ booth, and they help me. And I'm just nipping out for a fag, or I'm nipping to the toilet. Put one on, will you? And it's quite important that you pass that knowledge on to people and pass the music around as well. You know what I mean? Just a little insight in where I think anyway.
No, I like that you touch on a bit of like mentorship and like passing it on to the younger generation. Like, how important is that for you as a DJ?
Very well. I got taught a lot, and every day is still a school day. Still learning now. You know, I've been DJing 35 years. I look well for 28. You know, that's another question for you. That's my stage age. But I got taught off other DJs how to be respectful. There was no social media then. It was all word of mouth. And how I developed a sort of career out of it is I got the records before anybody else had them. And I played the records what some people wouldn't dare play. The Guild Tavern, which is now Flats in Preston, in 1992, I went there and there's a girl DJing, a girl, never talked to her, and she was DJing on SL 1200s and mixing by using the pitch.
Right.
And I was absolutely fascinated by her because I could mix, but she was mixing without touching the records. Anyway, we went every week, had a few drinks, watched this girl. She was great. And then a week after, there was this blonde girl there who was just playing party music. So I goes, where's the girl who's not? Oh, she don't work here anymore. I'm here now. Who are you? I said, I'm just a DJ and, you know, what's this? She went, oh, well, turn up next week with some records and play some. So I did. I turned up with a bag of records in a spar carrier bag and I played a lot of records. And then she said, oh, I'm off one night. Do you want to cover? And I wouldn't say I was the first, but I was one of the first few to start a dance night in the Guild Tavern in 1992. And we'd turn up at 7 o'clock and we'd be full at 8 o'clock at night to 11. It was mad. There was stuff going on in Preston, like down Cannon Street, Cheeky Monkeys. Matt Bell was a famous DJ around Preston, top guy. This is all like early 90s. And then I was up Blackburn a lot doing places like Peppermint Place, which went to Utopia, Man at Nights, which is a massive club with a pink Cadillac on the roof. That was a Sharon and Tracy club. But in 1993, I was playing Dance and Trance, the Power of American Natives, DJ Professor Runner, Sasha's mix of Nasty Rhythm, things like that. And we was doing a rave in a nightclub, totally unheard of, where it was a Sharon and Tracy club, but they were failing. And this is another thing which is incredibly hard to believe nowadays. We turn up at the club at, say, 7 o'clock to practice a few mixes because I didn't have my own turntables. Yeah. And at 7 o'clock, there would be 500 people queuing to get in the club on a Friday night. Yeah. 500. And then we'd open at 9, and they used to have a billboard which would say house full. And that would go outside at 9:45 at night saying, there's 1,800 people in here. Nobody else is getting in. And from 10 o'clock, it was like a football stadium. It was bonkers. But now, to say that was a nightclub, there is no nightclubs really anymore. You know, there's event spaces. And then I branched into Blackburn, and then I branched into Burnley. Then I went down to Stoke-on-Trent, and then I travelled around the UK playing, you know, somebody get your number off someone, give us a ring. Do you want to come and play some records here? And then there was a place in Preston, in Chorley called the Game Bird, mythical place where footballers, Heather Small, for instance, from them people would be there. Yeah. And I got asked to DJ there on a Thursday night, and I did a night called Classic Attack, playing old school in 1994, and that went bananas. And there was Porsches and Ferraris, and I were in Works van parking it round back. And then from there. Yeah. Well, you should never judge a book by its cover. And then from there, this guy come up to me, and I got these guys from Manchester used to come, and they had the Manchester swagger, like Liam Gallagher. They said, "Hey, Al, do you want to come and DJ at Hacienda in Manchester?" And I'm like, "Yeah, right." Anyway, guess what? Hacienda rung up. I ended up DJing at Hacienda I only did 3 spots there. And you've probably heard of the Hacienda.
Yeah. I mean, I have a CD here as well that's like the like classical version of the Hacienda classics.
Yeah, great stuff with Graham Park and all that lot. That was almost a pinch me moment in my life. DJing at the Hacienda in
Yeah,
Manchester. Nah,
yeah,
it can't be
yeah.
real. And it happened. And funny enough, we've had a lot of VHSs out of Attic converted, and I have all these on video now, which we're going
Oh,
to get
love.
edited because they're all digital. And we've got some classic places from the 80s, 90s, and noughties, where we can release it onto the internet for people to go, God, you look different there. And yeah, I did the Hacienda. So, and then that was rugby like 94. And then how I springboarded my next part of the career was I'll put my own night on it, middle of Ribchester in a nightclub in Ribchester. We called it Prism. We needed 52 people to break even, and I got a lot of local DJs to DJ. We plugged the hell out of it, and we got just over 500 people turned up in the middle of nowhere, which is on the video. And that's when I come to the attention of the lads who were running Feel in Preston at the university. And that was Preston's first super club. Got friends with them, who I'm still very good friends with today. They helped my career. And then they put a word in with a company called Northern Leisure who own Tokyo Jaws. They own 180 nightclubs around the UK. I got in the nightclubs because I could play dance music, mix, and talk on a microphone
Yeah,
like an all-rounder.
yeah.
And I did incredibly well out of all that. They sent me to Stoke-on-Trent, down to Lancaster around here. We went down to the ports at Dover and stuff. All the clubs all around UK, and it was great. And then 2000, this is all going very quickly. There's a lot we're missing out. It's a Tuesday morning. I worked at Bliss in Southport. Phone rings, and it was a landline. And they go, "Is that Mark?" "Yeah." "Hey, it's Jill here from Radio 1. "Me?" "Yeah, right, you dickhead." Boof, phone down. Phone rings
Oh
again.
God.
"Hey, it's Jill here from Radio 1. "Oh, hiya. Do you fancy DJing with Dave Pearce, Judge Jules? We're doing all these tours and blah, blah, blah." "Yeah. Right, can we book you to play in Southport at such and such, what's it called, Princess's Park?" "Yeah." "When?" "Whatever date it would be." "How many people?" "Oh, we've only got 28,000 people coming." Shit. So I got, and I'm like, shit. Yeah, of course I can do it. And yeah, got in with them guys then and got to know all that lot, the London crew and everything. That was quite amazing. I've actually just missed something quite important there, Richie, as well. We've gone
What?
from the early 90s
No, but
to
I love it. Like
2000.
I was just listening there because there's like so many things I'd like to dissect, but I don't have the time, unfortunately. But I will say though, like the
We could
fact
do a
that
part two
we could actually, do you know, that would be a first, and
and
that's
a three.
why not? We could call it the Mark Freejack. I don't know what, but we need to think of a name.
Talks a lot of crap.
I love that. I love the fact that you were talking about the Hacienda there, and like now, correct me if I'm wrong, because was the Hacienda, where Oxford Road is in Manchester? Was it round the corner there where I think there's an estate agents or something down the corner that
Yeah, it's the Hacienda Apartments now. Yeah,
yeah.
near the Arches. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
whenever I come on the train into Manchester to do whatever I'm doing, I always look at the estate agent and think, "Oh, that was the Hacienda, that one, isn't it?"
Yeah, the Hacienda. Yeah,
And
the Hacienda Apartments is where they're.
even though I wasn't I never saw it, and I was too young to obviously go because I was only 5, probably, something
Yeah.
ridiculous like that. I still think of that because of I really love that era of music. One, because I was alive in that period, but also just listening to it and going back and listening to these tracks, it's really amazing. But you were saying also about how how clubs used to be, and how there used to be like a football stadium. Now, it's sad that the current moment that there isn't any sort of clubs that are like that. Do you think that ever will change? Do you think it'll come back round sometimes fashion does? It comes back round, or
No,
do
it'll
you
never
think
happen again.
Do you think that? Yeah, I was going to say. And what reasons do you think that for?
Nowadays, music is very accessible. You can get it on your phone within 4 seconds. Back then, you'd buy an import record for £7 to £15 from America or wherever, or a white label, and then it wouldn't be out or on the radio for 3, 4 months. And people had come to go, "Hey, you've got that record. Will you play it for us?" And me and you are communicating now through the power of the internet. I can see you, you can see me. There were no mobile phones hardly then. I had one what was size of a blooming TV. It was massive. There's so many things now what take people's attention. Orange Wednesdays back in the day, where Orange did a promotion where you could go to cinema 2 for 1.
I used to love them. Yeah. Orange Wednesdays.
I remember going to. I remember going and seeing a friend Peter Borden's house where he had Sky TV, and I'm like, "What is that?"
Massive dish as well.
Yeah. There's Sky TV. There's Xboxes. There's PlayStations. There's anything you want. There's apps. People play on the phones a lot these days. There's more things to take your money and your eye off the ball. And also, it was the music what brought people together, and there was a social scene where people went socialising and people actually talked to each other, or some people went, looking for love, so to speak. Some people wanted to escape the mundane life of working 9 to 5 or whatever they was doing, just to have them 4 or 5 hours of carefree dancing and not really giving a rat's arse or a shit what anybody thought about them. And I thought that was fantastic, Whereas now we live in an Instagram generation.
Yeah.
We're fed by likes. We're fuffed up by ego. We're scared to say this. We're scared to do that. We should do this. We should do that. You should eat this. You shouldn't do that. You should have a bit more creativity. You should have tolerance for other people. Where is the love as the Black Eyed Peas? And there is no love. The world is quite a dark place in this day and age.
Yeah.
And me, I as well as DJ, I have 3 other businesses, and I've owned 2 nightclubs and 3 bars. I don't own them anymore because it's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
And I find myself looking forward to a DJ gig just to get away from the working 9 till 5 thing.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing. It's something what you should look forward to. But then, it's something to aim towards, to get away from. Music is like an escape without drink or drugs. You don't need all that, Some people do. I don't, That's how to answer back to your question, nightclubs will never return like they used to. Is there someone going to pay 10 quid to get in a nightclub? Then silly price drinks? No, not going to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas, Tokyo Joe's, my last Friday I did there, I remember, was 1,752 people. And they went, bloody hell, it was a bit quiet tonight. Can you imagine that now?
I know.
You'd kill for that.
You would. You'd think you'd made it, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? Like,
and it's not just Preston. It's not just Preston. There used to be coaches what had come from Liverpool, Manchester, and I have quite good connections in Liverpool from In Demand Radio, which I worked through a bit after Rock FM. And I do the Reminisce Festival, which is happening in about 6 weeks, where I think they've got Paul Oakenfold, Dave Morales on. We've had Dave Morales, obviously, in Preston and all that. And that is something what is the yearly look forward to as well, what I mean? That's a good event. So, to answer your question, after waffling on for about 5 minutes,
I love all the
nightclubs
little
are not going to return.
Yeah, definitely. I just sorry, I don't want to speak over you. I was just interested to get your perspective on that, because obviously I've thought pretty much the same myself. But someone that's seen the scene for so long, it's good. I always feel like it's a good thing to get their perspective on things, because you have more knowledge than like people that are younger than you. So you've seen the bigger picture, if you catch my drift.
Yeah. But it's good that also young people now put on events. They tell all the friends and family to come. I recently did a gig for the guys. I've never met them, but they reached out to me, that Get Monetized crew.
Right.
And what a great bunch of people they were. They were so nice. They were so complimentary. I was quite humbled by them, and they were so nice about it. And they said, turn up, play some records. So I did, and it was great. I had a really good time, and it was just nice to DJ to not my usual crowd of, I have quite a broad crowd who follow me around, but it was a totally different crowd than what I normally DJ to. And when you travelled around the UK, or I used to live in Ibiza in '99, and I was a resident DJ at Eden in San Antonio. You're playing to an international crowd there. We went to Poland. That's a totally different kettle of fish playing over there. And it was nice to do that. And then, there's little pockets of people like, obviously, Jason Mark's doing the DJ social. I find that's great where DJs can talk. And back then there was sometimes a bit of DJ rivalry between DJs fighting for gigs and stuff. I've just got on with everybody, me. I couldn't give a shit what anybody thinks. I get on. I'm nice to everybody. It don't cost out. Anyone's a dickhead, I don't bother with him. Simple as that, But luckily, I've never had any hassle off anyone, really. I'm very fortunate to be like that. And I think if you can help other DJs or people, you're halfway there, aren't you? You know what I mean?
Definitely. I think it's the only way. You were saying like the world is a dark place before. The only way we can contradict that darkness is through acts of thoughtfulness and kindness.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice to be nice. It doesn't cost anything. And what you put in, you'll get triple back.
Yeah, definitely.
That's it.
I think what we're going to do now is move on. I don't want to not talk about this. So I want to talk about the Rock FM days. So how did that all come about?
Right, yeah, because we glossed over it, didn't we? We jumped to 2000.
Yeah.
Right, this is a long story, so I'll break it down as quickly as I can. So in 1996, I started my own night in Ribchester at Low Star. And on a Saturday night, there was Planet Dance with the DJ called Ian Roberts, who was more Manchester than Manchester itself. That kid. And an absolute legend of a man. But I never met him, didn't know what he looked like, there was no internet. And when I was running club nights, I get all my staff, my flyers, DJs to ring 01772 900 974 and go, is that Ian Roberts? Yeah. Listen, we're going to watch Mark Freejack at this gig tonight. Can you give us a shout out? And basically, we took over the airways by lying to get the shouts out.
Yeah.
But then there was a knock-on effect of that. The shouts out, basically, when people listened to Rock FM and the dance music, because there was no internet, as we say again, they go, oh, who's this Mark Freejack? Let's go and have a look. People would tip up at club, hey, how do you get a shout out on radio? Oh, it's busy here. Boom, boom, boom. And there's your knock-on effect. So then I come to the attention of the Luminar sort of guys who own Tokyo Joe's.
Yeah.
And I've been to Tokyo Joe's in a peach suit with a blue shirt. Peach suit, I kid you not. Where you could get chicken in a basket or you could get a Chinese. And it was me, a cultural shift from Sharon and Tracy. Obviously, they had Pete Waterman, everybody doing dance thing and all that. It was called The Hitman and Her, and that was on at night. Looking for The Hitman and Her. And Rock FM were doing Friday Night Live there, which was basically Rock FM broadcasting on the airwaves from Friday night at Tokyo Joe's in Preston.
I actually do remember that. I remember as a kid, because I'd go to bed, and the only way my mum would get me to go to sleep is if I had a radio.
Put radio.
I put the radio on. I was like, "Oh, Mum, it's all right. Don't worry. Friday Night Live's on."
Yeah,
It
was bonkers because I was the DJ on a Thursday night upstairs doing, 70s funk and all sorts of like hip hop, R&B, which some people are like, well, you used to play that. Yeah, I used to play all sorts of stuff. And then the DJ downstairs for Tokyo Joe's and doing the mixing was Jason Fubar. He's a guy you need to get on from Blackpool.
Right.
And Jason was moving to go and do BCM in Magaluf. They said, this is the words, hey, Mark, we've heard you can mix records and play that dance music stuff. Can you do Friday nights at Talk to Rock FM? Me? Yeah, fucking right I can. So I tipped up on a Friday night with a bag of 12s. And there was he's not with us anymore, a guy called Brian Moore, who was the breakfast show guy, and the legendary guy called Andy Roberts. And Andy Roberts was the guy who did these, he was like the PD of Rock FM. He did the hot mixes on reel-to-reel tape in the early 90s. The guy was like a fucking legend. And I
Yeah.
got to know Andy, and he was a really, really top bloke. And we were playing the tracks, and they'd talk over it, and I was silent. Nobody said anything. And then I had a bootleg of Madonna, Holiday with Stardust, Music Sounds Better With You. And he's like, where have you got that from? I said, I get these records. Anyway, I was at home one night in Longridge, and the phone rung, and I just got a new feature on my mobile. Are you ready for this? It was called Caller ID. And it said, and the number was calling, it went 01772 900 974. And I went, that's fucking Rock FM ringing me. Hello? Hey, is that Mark? Yeah, it's Andy Roberts here at Rock FM. Me. All right, Andy, how's it going, mate? All right, chair. He said, listen, you know them records you played on Friday at Talks? Yeah. I don't suppose you could nip down to the studio, could you, so we can record them and edit them and put them on air? Yeah, of course I can. When can you come? Come now if you want. Yeah, all right. So I flew down to Rock FM, knocked on the door, and it were all like security, get in there. I met Andy, recorded them all in. Thanks a lot. See you on Friday. And I'm like, that's good. And then this is the light bulb moment. I thought, no one's playing dance music anywhere by me. But if I play dance music on the radio with Friday Night Live, more people hear dance music, it'll get more popular.
Yeah.
Go figure. Luckily, bear in mind, this is the third bite of the pie. The first bite of the pie for me was doing the mobile disco. The second bite of the pie was the rave scene in the early 90s. The third bite of the pie was radio. And I was fascinated. I didn't want to do radio myself. I just wanted to play the music. So I got to know Ian Roberts. And I said to Ian, I've got these tracks. Come down on a Saturday night when I'm on radio, lad, and I'll chuck them on. So he'd let me stand in the studio and he'd play them, and then he'd look over and go, we've got Mark Freejack in the studio. And I'd go like, hello, like that, shitting myself, literally shaking. And basically I got a call down the line, Ian's off. Can you DJ and do his Saturday night show on radio? I went, I have no fucking idea how I'm going to do that. I've no idea. And he went, we'll press all buttons. All you need to do is talk and play tunes. Okay. So I did that, and it was great. Fantastic. And then in 1999, Tim, who used to run field at the University of Central Lancashire, says, we're off to Ibiza over summer. We're running this club in Ibiza. Do you want to come? I said, I don't know. He went, we'll give you a bit of cash and you can have a good laugh. All right, aye. And Rock FM said to me, when you're over there, can we ring you every week? And you can be the island roving reporter. And a phone like that with a pull-out aerial. I said, yeah. So every week, Rock FM would ring me when I were in Ibiza and say, this is what's happening in the island if you're coming over at this night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, manumission, all that. These are the tunes out here, what we're playing, blah, blah, blah. And then that was that. Come back from Ibiza back end of 99, and the PD rings you up. Said, come down to Rock FM, we have a natter. All right. You're a quiet DJ, aren't you? I said, yeah. Can you start doing hot mixes on Rob Ellis's show at 9 o'clock at night? And have you heard of mini discs?
Yeah, I used to have a mini disc player, Sony one.
Brilliant. Mini discs had just come out. You need to record all hot mixes onto mini discs, give them us, we'll edit them up and put them on radio and put Mark Freejack, the Rock FM hot mix. And I'm like, is this really happening? All right, yeah, I'll do it. We can't pay you for it. All right, no problem. So we'd go to a nightclub, what we were working at, because I used to work 5 nights a week then, at 7 o'clock at night, plug into the sound system with a mini disc player, record them in real time on, because it were vinyl days. Any mistakes, you start from scratch, and do 20-minute hot mixes, 5 records mixed together. Take them to Rock FM, they'd edit them, put all the jingle jangles over it, top and tail it, chuck it on radio. There you go. And from that, everybody just went, oh my God, Rock FM are now playing dance music every night. Wow. Here, get that bloody Freejack and get him to come to me bar and club, and he'll fetch some people and play some tunes. So that was the DJ side as well. And then, obviously, I mentioned the Radio 1 thing in 2000.
Yeah.
Then in 2002, 2, I was still doing the hot mixes. They said to me, "Listen, we want you to do a show on Rock FM," and I'm like, "I'm not really interested in that. I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing." Well, you're doing it. I went, "All right then. What do you want me to do?" And they went, "Well, we've got a slot, 2 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning, Saturday night." I went, "I'm in a club. What time are you working club to?" "Well, usually 2. Right, well, you can do 3 o'clock till 6. I thought, I'm not getting out of this, am I? I said, "All right, what do you want me to do?" He said, "Well, what happens at that time?" I said, "It's usually a chill out where, all that." He said, "Right, do a chill out show." I went, "You what? Just sort it out. What do you want me to call it?" "I don't know." I said, "Well, this will be the acid test for us." And he went, "There you go, call it the acid test." So we started the acid test on Rock FM, which was 3 o'clock till 6 in the morning, playing hip hop, trip hop, drum and bass, Brian Eno, Fleetwood Mac Albatross, some dance music, some techno. Fucking hell. Everything in the kitchen sink was chucked in. And then the record companies got into us and gone, "Oh, we've got all these DJs who want to be interviewed. Do you want to interview them and put them on your acid test?" Because now the internet had sort of kicked in and you could actually listen to Rock FM in London or Africa or wherever. And I'm thinking, I'm sat in a box in Preston and some guy's listening to me on a beach in South Africa.
Yeah.
Just let me get my
That's
head
crazy.
around that.
Yeah.
So then they said, "Oh, do you want to interview, Timo Mass, who was a famous DJ? Do you want to hear Howie B, Corbin Doyle? We've got a guy called Sasha." I'm like, "What? Sasha wants to be
Oh
on
my
the
God.
show?" And Sasha, obviously you're aware of him. Sasha is a Carl Cox, a Paul Oakenfold, a godlike DJ. And I'm like, fucking right, I'll interview him. Anyway, we interviewed Sasha. What a lovely bloke. Had a good crack. Then he said, "Oh, John Marsh wants an interview." John Marsh was in a group called The Beloved. Ended up talking to John Marsh. He sent me a lot of records which I loved from The Beloved. What a top guy. Anyway, that went on for a couple of years, and it was almost a pinch and roll. I was still DJing, and then they said, "We're going to promote you to drive time on a Saturday night, afternoon sort of like thing. What do you want me to do?" The acid test. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
Chill out music at prime time, revving everybody for a club. We'll try it for a couple of months because there's something else coming. You're going to do it whether you like it or not. All right, so we did it, and it did all right, but people were like, "What's this weird shit at 7 o'clock at night you're playing?"
Yeah.
And then you could text Rock FM, not through the computer, what you see nowadays. I bought a mobile SIM and a SIM card, and you could text this mobile phone I had in the studio to go, "I'll give you a shout out," because people just rung up. Or we had jail mail. People sent mail in for shouts out.
God.
Somebody would send you a letter, which I still have to this day.
Yeah.
So you could text, and people didn't like it. And then they said, "What it is, Mark, we've been waiting for 2 months. Floor Fillers is launching and want you to head that." And I'm like, "What's Floor Fillers?" "It's with All Around the World record. The CDs, what they do, we want you to help compile them in the studio, right? And then we want you to play up great dance records, do competitions for guest lists and giveaways and CDs. We want you to team up with Head Candy and Ministry of Sound and all that." And I'm like, is this fucking happening? What the hell? All right, yeah, I'll sort it. So we started doing Saturday night Floor Fillers, and I was doing. El Gregor was on before me, a guy called Steve Gregor, who was a good friend, and he was the producer of the station sound. I do Floor Fillers 9 o'clock to 1 and then 9 o'clock to 11, sorry, and then fly down to Liquid in Wigan, or go down south, or go up north, DJing wherever. And there was no pre-recording then; it was all live.
Yeah.
So you messed up. And on a Sunday night, Ian Roberts had finished, and Baz Todd did the Old School show on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And that was the best show of the station, in my opinion. It was miles better than mine. Baz played the great music, top guy. And then a couple of years down after doing Floor Fillers, we'd sold something in the region of, because I had a part in it, something like, I've got a disc here. Hang on. There's a disc.
Oh, wow.
And there's another disc of the Floor Fillers there.
Yeah, I remember that particular logo. I remember that logo distinctly.
Yeah,
I remember when the CDs come out, and me and my like my sister and my cousin and that we'd like you want to get the next CD, and like I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, we'd sold a load of them, and Floor Fillers now, we've done number 6. It was starting to run out of steam because everybody else were doing the compilation CDs. And then Baz said, I'm leaving Rock FM, I'm going to Juice FM. And the
Right.
PD was Dino and the Sheriff, and they went, Mark, do you want to do Sunday night on Rock FM? And I went, oh, thank God, yes. That is the one I wanted. And bear in mind, I was never interested in radio, but I'd been bitten by the radio bug.
Yeah.
So they said, what do you want to do? I said, we're going to call it Classic Cuts, and I'm going to play old school like your Robin S's from 92, Champion Records, 122 beats a minute, all that. But we're also going to talk about club culture. We're going to get shouts out. We're going to tweet them on Twitter as we play. We're going to get interactive. And I'm also going to play these classics, what I've got on vinyl, which you forgot about, like forgotten classics.
Yeah.
And the bosses, this is great. Just sort it out and stop fucking about. All right, yeah. So we started that. And if you're aware of what Rage Eyes are and share audience and stuff like that, Radio 2 is the biggest competitor, biggest market leader. Hearts just recently overtook it now. Station average was something about 6% share, which is great for a small station like Rock FM.
Yeah.
Each individual show had this. The breakfast show and the drive time was always the big shows. I had 16.5% share on a Sunday night. I was pissing on Radio 1 and Radio 2. And it was just bonkers. You were in the eye of a tornado. It was like a whirlwind. And it wasn't because it were me. It were the music. So we're back to the fundamentals. We're playing music what people have forgot about. And then we'd tweet them as we play them and put the artist in. So next thing I've got Utah Saints following me. K-Class are following me. Oh, who's that? Oh, MK's following me. Judge Jules is following me. All the DJs got into a DJ community, but then they'd be involved and somebody would go, oh, Classic Cuts, Rock FM, K-Class, let me show you who's playing. And someone would go, oh, that's a tune. And K-Class would reply to that person who'd gone, that's a tune. And it was a sense of community as well. And it was great. And I did that for about 8 or 9 years, and it was magical. It was absolutely, unbelievably magical. I can't tell you into context of how many people still ask me now, why you're not on Rock FM. Well, Rock FM doesn't exist, and I left there 6 years ago because it's all been networked. And I'm not bitter about it. I had 22, 23 years out of there. It's the nature of the beast, and that's how it is, and it's never going to go back to how it was. Rock FM's never going to go back to the church. It's hits radio where they have catch register, pay you to listen. They play a lot of music what's not for me. They do throwbacks. It's very finely tuned oil machine, which is not what I'm about. Obviously, if they did ring me up and say, do you want a network show throughout UK, I'd say yeah straight away. But on my terms of I pick the music.
Yeah.
We've had a few discussions about stuff like that, but nothing's ever come of it, you know. And that the Sunday night thing, basically, after Sunday night, it got networked by Bauer, who bought the brand. So you've got Piccadilly Key 103, you've got Radio Air in Leeds, Rock FM, you've got Newcastle Metro. So imagine you've got 10 radio stations, 10 DJs on each other, people, 20 back of house sales, all these buildings. You networked it from Manchester. You got rid of a load of DJs, a load of staff, and streamlined the business, so to speak, with split links. It's all about saving money and making money. And I get that. You know, that's the nature of how it is these days. And it slowly withered. And then Rock FM has lost it. It's now gone to the hits radio. You've got, what's her name, Fleur East doing it. I'll be honest with you, I've listened to Rock FM, but it's now the hits 5 times in 5 years. It's not what I'm about. It's not what I'm interested in.
Yeah, and it's got to be the right fit. I think if you're going to put that much effort in, it's got to be the right fit for you, and you've got to.
Well, effort. Yeah. Imagine a room of records on shelves.
Yeah.
We'd spend in the newsroom every Wednesday and Thursday recording the vinyl in real time into the Rock FM computer and then editing down to 3 or 4 minutes. Imagine doing that for 8 years every Wednesday and Thursday. Now I've got a hard drive of all them radio edits because there was no radio edits of tracks like Robert Miles' Children. You hear a radio edit now like that. Back then there wasn't,
Yeah.
And I've got all those now, and that is hours upon hours of a labour of love, really, for that.
Yeah.
Boring, but I did it all,
No, but
and
I
we
feel
must have a
like
hard drive now of it.
sorry to interrupt you, but I do feel like in terms
Yeah,
of
yeah.
in terms of Preston history, it is a part of Preston history forever and ever. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and this is
Oh,
why
yeah.
this is why I wanted to. One of the reasons I wanted to interview was because it is part of the music history in Preston,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
want
it was surreal. It
record
was.
that as much
You
as
know, when we
possible.
did. Well, I did they asked me to do a Rock the Dance Floor All Mixed Up, right? Which was basically all the 6 albums, pick all tracks off it, do a hot mix of it for about an hour, and we'll sell it. All right. And we'll give you a percentage of sales. All right. Yeah, no worries. So there's a bit of a money there. And we recorded it in all around the world studios on CDs, not CDJs, Denon CD players with a pitch bend on it because we didn't have the vinyl.
Yeah.
And then I got my friend to do the Two Funky Two Brothers and Sisters we're playing, do the scratching, which was coming out of a PlayStation 1 scratch sound over through a TV because we didn't have the kit to do the scratching, which we recorded in the mini disc and then lured it over.
Right.
There you go.
God, do you know,
That's behind the scenes.
You saying about that to me? I've been looking today. I want to get like an old school sort of like, like tape deck that you can record a CD to cassettes, amplifier, and then the speakers. I've been looking at like secondhand, the turntable. The whole. I want to get the whole setup because I want to listen to my CDs that way and like my music that way. I've got cassettes as well, you see. And I've been looking at that today because I just remember when I had that, it was just so tactile, isn't it? Like for me, I love cassettes and things like that now because the actual physical element of the CD and the cassette, but then like turning over to the B side is such a connection to the music. You just can't get it with.
That's
digital.
why. Yeah. Well, there's two things like young lad doing it who I've got to talk to, Tim, the pressed on.
Yeah,
good
Tim.
interview, by the way, of him. Hope you listen. Top guy. He's playing vinyl.
Definitely
and
top
I'm
guy,
really happy about that. Yeah, and I used to play vinyl and get 2 copies of something, and you could phase lock it. Now you can press a button on the mixer. Or you can put it a beat behind Todd Terry, Rhythm Masters Mix, jump in, and put it a beat behind. And that was tactile. And then how you said about old school music, picture this in 1990, where I live in Ribchester. I mean, there's no round there. There's a place called Jeffrey Hill. And we used to go in my Volkswagen Beetle Beige Bug, engine out at back, me and my mates. There was no heater in the Beetle. We'd get a ghetto blaster, which you may be aware of what a ghetto blaster is, a massive tape deck. Dolby, double cassette. We'd put the ghetto blaster on the back seat of the Beetle. I used to smoke fags then, unfortunately, and have a fag while we were setting up. We'd get coat hangers and wire them onto the aerial, what come off the tape deck, put it on the roof of the Beetle and aim it to get Piccadilly Key 103, Stu Allen. And then we record Stu Allen's tape, and then I go with Stu Allen's tape to Action Records in Preston to Jackie in the dance section and go, what's this? What's that? And Jackie were like a Shazam, a human Shazam of music. And I'd sing it or hum it, and she'd go, that's it. And I bought all the records. And then I had the records what Stu Allen were playing. And people were like, where have you got that from? How do you know about that? And that's my trade secret. And I'd sat on Jeffrey Hill on my own for hours listening to Stu Allen.
I love this, man. I love this. This is great. I love that. I want to just...
Whereas now you can get music straight away.
I know, and that's another thing. Like, I remember early 90s when I first started getting pocket money, like you were saying, you went to the shops and you spent all your money that you'd earn on music. I was very similar in that respect. I go and get a CD, and say if you got £10, it would buy one CD. But if it wasn't out yet, you'd have to pre-order it and wait for it, like you were saying before. And when you finally got it in your hand, it was like a piece of treasure. That this is. I mean, Spotify and all these streaming services are great, but my concern is that the music's more throwawayable because it's so easy
disposable
to
music nowadays.
And this is why
I do like what you said about the B-side there as well. You know, when you're on about flipping it onto the B-side.
Yeah.
For instance, Dream, You're the Best Thing, right? Well-known pop song. But Sasha did a mix on the B-side, track 2, yeah? And it's a Sasha MFI mix where he arpeggiates it out and all that. And I used to play that on Mad at Nights in 1993. And another DJ said, have you played Other Side? No. And I played the Sasha mix, and it went absolutely fucking bananas in there. Nowadays, there's no such thing as a B-side. And then another guy is one to look up called Frank the Wolf, did the tape, and it was on the B-sides in the Magic Orchestra. And he used that as a gimmick, the B-sides, you know, and that was quite interesting where you play the, you know, great record on the A side, and then sometimes you never flipped over. I talked to Tim about, he played Papua New Guinea by Future Sound of London, which is Brian Duggan and all that lot, and Gary Corbin, and they used to be in Stack of Humanoid. And I said, play the other side, which has a track called Fireworks on it. It's on Jumping and Pumping Records. Hopefully he's listened, he's played it.
Well, I tell you what, I'll tell him, you've been mentioned, Tim. You're going to have to listen to the episode now. No, but to talk about Tim quickly, I do love what he's doing with his group of people, group of DJs with the vinyl nights. I mean, that is something that's needed. Definitely impressed. And so big shout out to Tim.
It's a great trick and it's a great thing. Absolutely. You know, but also this is another thing where I did the stage where I went from vinyl to CD, and I used to take CDJs to the club. And people go, you're not a fucking proper DJ because you're not using vinyl. Right, all right, yeah, whatever, fuck off, dickhead. And then when we'd gone from CDs to a controller, I only started using controller 2 years ago because it were memory sticking then. And somebody said to me, you're not a proper DJ because you don't use CDs. Right, hang on, I thought it were vinyl. They've gone, what's vinyl? Do some education, dickhead. And then somebody else then said, why are you using a controller? Do you not use a memory stick on CDJs? So that's 3 times I've been accused of being shit DJ because I'm not using what they're doing. Yeah. And I said a DJ should be heard, not listened to. Who cares what format you're using? Vinyl, CD, memory stick, chicken coop for all I care. It's what's coming out at speakers.
Definitely. I
thought that was quite interesting.
I don't miss you.
Yeah, I don't miss the vinyl because carrying 6 cases of that round, it sorts the men from the boys. And now I have a controller and I can do loops and stuff on that. But I'm, you know, like that guy who's doing around James Hype at the moment. I know James. I've done a few gigs with him back in the day. He's a lad from round here who's done incredibly well and fair play. He gets a lot online hate. Fuck him. He's a good lad. He's a nice lad. He's a totally different kettle of fish DJing than what I do, or maybe what you do. You know, there's a guy called Cuba who does scratching. I work with the guys called the Scratch Perfects, Tony Vegas. They're scratch hip hoppy DJs. There's all different types of DJs. Some people just play records. That's what I do. Some people do fancy mixes, spin backs, effects, whatever. You know, that's fine. It's whatever floats your boat. And if your crowd are happy, your crowd are happy.
Exactly. I love the way you put that. That is just like, I think a lot of DJs that will listen to this will like appreciate you saying that. Like, I do think that is the truth of the matter.
Well, reach out. Yeah, reach out. Some people, I get messages off DJs who like, oh, I want to do what you've done. I've got to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. Take your time. There's no rush. It'll come if you want to do it. If you believe in it, it'll do there. Also, an element of luck. It's not skill. Luck is involved. And I was always in the right place at the right time. And, you know, I've had a few DJs message me going, oh, I'm doing an old school night. Have you any suggestions what I'm playing? Eventually, I email them back because I've got a lot of stuff going on. And it's nice to be nice. And then when I come to the DJ thing, I met a DJ who had sent a hot mix to me many years ago. And then there's a guy from Wigan called Eddie Halliwell, who's quite a famous DJ, went on Radio 1. And I always remember Eddie coming up to me on a Tuesday night at Free to Dance, giving me tapes, going, put us on, put us on, put us on. And his music was like, ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. And it was great, but it weren't for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Eddie's now travelling around the world. And like, for instance, other DJs I've got friends with, Jordan North, who works at Rock FM from Burnley, who's just like you and me, went to Radio 1. He ended up on that I'm a celebrity nonsense. That's not for me. Good on him. And now he's on Capital Breakfast. You know, he's on Capital Breakfast. He's living a life. Good on him. Adele Roberts, who worked there. You know, they're just normal people. A celebrity is someone who's just a bit more well-known than you and me. That's all. They piss and shit just saying.
Yeah.
You know,
I
if they're
totally
an arse,
agree.
they're an arse. Fuck them.
So quickly, I want to just ask two more questions because I don't want to take up too much of your time. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, the Rock FM days, obviously you got to interview a lot of people. So out of the people you met, who were the people that you were like, oh my God, they're actually like they're really they're exactly how you would expect them to be?
I only had one bad interview, who I'm not going to name, and they were just an arse. And they thought, do you know what? They were, do you know who I am and all that sort of crap. I ain't got time for that. I cut the interview off. I said, fuck him, I'm not speaking to him.
Yeah.
But then John Marsh, I happened to mention before, I used to listen to The Beloved. There's an album called Blissed Out. Listen to The Beloved. Anyway, John Marsh became a DJ after that, and he did lots of Beloved songs, and he played a lot of deep Chicago house in Sheffield at Bed. I got a chance to interview him via the SDM, and there used to be on BBC Two. There used to be this is all leading to how he's a real person. There used to be a show with Normsy called Dance Energy,
right?
And one night they had Bizarre Inc. playing with knives on, and I watched it for that. And Jerry Halliwell out the Spice Girls was one of the dancers there. Right. And then John Marsh was on afterwards with Steve Waddington as The Beloved, and the new track was called It's All Right Now. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a fucking great song. Years later, I'm interviewing John Marsh, talking about, and so I told him the same story I've told you, and he's like, fucking hell, you've got a good memory. I said, well, I'm a bit odd, you know, a bit ADHD. He said, all right. I said, Beloved, it's all right now. I've only got a 7-inch. Where can I get a 12-inch of that? I've scoured everywhere known to man. I can't find it. He went, hang on, here's some rustling. I've got one here in studio. I'll send it to you. Give us your address. He sent me that record.
Oh.
And I've still got it. And I thought, fucking hell, he's normal. Same with Sasha. He was normal, you know. What are you doing? Well, I'm just having a Chinese while I'm talking to you. All right, how's it going? So I was quite taken aback that John Marsh from The Beloved, who'd said, and did me a voice drop as well. It's Mark Freejack, you listen to him on Rock FM. This is John Marsh. He was normal. We interviewed Ian Brown out of, the Stone Roses. He was a normal bloke. He did a track with James Lavelle, Uncle Be There. That's another one for listening to. Roger Sanchez. We interviewed Todd Terry. And then I ended up meeting Todd Terry because we do the Preston Weekender every year, and I'm sort of behind the scenes and DJ at that. Yeah. And Todd Terry was coming to Preston, and you think, Todd the fucking God Terry coming to Preston? Fuck that. No chance. Todd Terry turns up. I'm fanboying round him, shitting myself. And he's like, yeah, let's have a picture and have a talk. And I'm like, I'm talking to Todd Terry. This is only about 4 or 5 years ago. I've got all his records. I'm fanboying round him. Don't make an arse of yourself. And you know something? He's lovely. Yeah. What a nice guy. Then we had David Morales on. David Morales, Space Cowboy, Alison Limerick, Where Loves Lives, Mariah Carey, Dream Lover. Oh my God, the Death Mix crew with Satoshi Tomi and Frankie Knuckles. David Morales, he's coming to Preston. No shit. And I'm DJing with him. Oh my God. And at night, it's finished. He's chewing me ear off, yakking away. And I'm like, I've got to go to another gig here, Dave. I'm off. What a nice guy he were. And obviously we had Pete Tong, didn't we, this year? Yeah. So Pete Tong last played at the Weekender, the Radio 1 Weekender in 2009, right? Where Radio 1 tipped up on Moor Park, thousands of folk everywhere, jobs to come. they did a live broadcast with Andy Mack from the University of Central Lancashire. I was in on that. And Pete Tong's broadcasting. I'm watching him going, oh my God, that's fucking Pete Tong. And then down from where Talks is, there's PR1, the old nightclub.
Right.
He DJ'd there. And Pete Tong played Dave Spoon's mix of Liquid Sweet Harmony. Sadly, the guy from Liquid he passed away this week.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, Pete Tong's played that. Brilliant. Fast forward a few years, gets a phone call off with guys who were doing the Preston Weekender. You're on this year. We've got Macy Lancaster. What a great DJ Macy is. Lovely girl.
Yeah, love Macy.
New school girl. Yeah, top lass. Get to meet Macy. You're on. Turn up. Do what you do. Your socials, because we have quite a great social media following. Do your thing. Who's DJing this year? And they go, Pete Tong. And I'm like, fucking shut the front door. What? Pete Tong's coming. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm old bloke now thinking, and I felt like a 12-year-old. So I rings my mate Bernie up where we used to make tunes and said, we're going to have to do some edits and some tunes for Pete Tong. We've got to knock it out at park. So obviously I'm DJing away. It's all great. There's whatever, 2,000 or 3,000 people on Preston Flag Market. Jack's there, Jason Mark's all, winners and all that. They're all waved. And
I actually did turn up with them. I went and saw Jason and that. It was a great evening. Yeah.
It was great. And then I looks outside and Pete Tong's watching me DJ. And I'm like, oh no. Anyway, off he went. And then Sam Divine come on. She was lovely. What a nice girl. Anyway, do you want to go and meet Pete? He wants to meet you and all this shit. And I'm like, oh, no. And I'm the idiot. I'm like that. I'm nervous. And anyway, I goes to Pete and I does this fanboy moment. He said, can we have a picture? And I goes, hey, Pete, I'm Mark. He went, you're Mr. Preston. I said, well, last time you were here, 2009, you played Dave Spoon mixing here. And then anyway, yeah, you're definitely Mr. Preston, but I know all about you because we know we've done our research into me. And I'm thinking, Pete Tong knows about me. Oh my God. And you know something? He's a normal bloke like you and me. He's just a normal bloke. And very quite shy and reserved and quite humble. But I'm like, oh my God, Pete Tong knows about me. Fine. He's not followed me back on Instagram yet, but we'll get there in the end. I'll wear him down.
Definitely. If he said to you that he knows you, Mr. Preston, then I'm sure that's going to happen at some point.
Yeah. I have played everywhere else, and Preston, you know what I mean? And now, we're about the bites of the pie. I'm on that now. After the third bite of the pie, which was the Rock FM, which I mentioned. So first one was Mobile Disc Jockey.
Yeah.
Second one was the rave scene. Third one was Rock FM. Fourth bite of the pie was making music with Bernie, doing all around the world, traveling around the world, all around the world records, doing all the CDs. The fifth bite of the pie was playing the trance scene, all the trance music. That's another story for another time, Richie.
It's going to be a part two, I think.
All of a sudden, then the pandemic hit, and then, I sort of like fucked DJing off for a bit, and I enjoyed being at home. I've got a wife and 3 kids and all that sort of stuff. I built my businesses up, shut all my bars. And then I got asked, because we run a cleaning firm, Choose Yard. And now I'm on the 7th resurgence of my career, which is not a career really. I just do it for fun now. I don't do it for money. I do it for fun. And Choose Yard, we had 1,800 people turn up on Saturday just gone. And it was, I have to be serious now for once, very humbling to get messages off people. And some people haven't seen for 10 years, 20 years. Some kids come up who were 18, 19, asking for records. Maybe I might be. It was just nice, and Choose Yours great. I do an Indigo. I've done a few. I get a few calls. Can you do this? Can you do that? I'm not getting back on circuit full time because I don't want to.
Yeah.
But the Choose Yard was very special, and I'm doing a rave one next. A rave special end of August. If I did it every week somewhere, it wouldn't be special. I mean, the one what just went, all those people turning up and can we have a picture here? Some guy turns up and I'll swear, I'm having a piss. Got minded off a few people. Can you hear this, that, the other guy? Hey, I've come from Liverpool. All right, how's it going? I'm having a piss at the time. He said, can I have a photo here? I said, well, can I finish my job? Anyway, it turns out this guy's some blogger from Liverpool who's like some celebrity friends. He's got like 2 million followers. He's just a nice bloke, but, you know, that was quite humbling as well, you know.
Yeah.
It was very nice. And then I can see people like looking at back going, I'm normal. I'm just a normal bloke who's been lucky. And they're going like, do you mind if we can have a picture here? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. Like they went, all right, okay, you know. But that's the fanboy moment for them. It's like me fanboying with Todd Terry or Pete Tong.
Yeah.
You know, I've done a few gigs with, you know, your best DJ in the world, in my opinion, is Carl Cox. The fucking legend, Carl Cox.
Yeah, definitely.
I've done and like I've done a few gigs with the guys behind Camel Fat, you know, Mike Niscala and all that, you know. But Carl Cox is the DJ, you know, and I'd probably have a meltdown and massive fanboy moment meeting Carl Cox. I've done some gigs back in the day with him, but now Carl Cox is just, well, it's the legend, isn't it? You know. Then another guy I'd fanboy over would be Alan Fitzpatrick, who does techno. You know, I listen to his broadcast. So yeah, you know, that's how it's going, isn't it? You know, it's mad, isn't it? What's happening?
I mean, I feel like I could talk for ages. I'm just gonna wrap things up now. So yeah, I think we're gonna wrap things up now. So it's been really great speaking with you and like hearing all this knowledge and all these stories. And I feel like there could potentially be a part 2, depending on what the audience likes. But I just want to thank you so much.
Yeah, they've probably not fallen asleep by now.
I know, yeah.
If anybody's fallen asleep, that's the way it is. But I think it's nice to communicate with other DJs like yourself, what you're doing. You know, I've met you obviously down the line, and from the Choose Yard and the DJ Social of spreading your wings and meeting new DJs, as well as connecting with old DJs.
Yeah.
It's so important to do that, and we live in a world of Instagrammable, throwaway, quick dopamine hits. You know, make memories, put your phone down, enjoy the music. Do a few films, tag us in that's great. We did the video, for instance, on Saturday. I only took about 6 pictures because I was too busy DJing.
Yeah.
And we had a video, and we had in 24 hours 11,000 views of it. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? This is Sunday. Phones ping, ping, ping all day. And I'm thinking, just that 12-second video of me playing Bizarre Inc., playing with knives, all those people have interacted with it and everything. And I find that mind-blowingly bonkers, you know what I mean? But it's nice. Stay humble. Be nice to people. Get off your phone. Have some nice food. Go outside. Talk to people. There you go. And we'll have a part 2 or a part 3 if you want, Richie.
I love that. I'm going to say thanks so much for speaking to me, and I really just appreciate you just giving me your time. Like I was saying before, I really appreciate it, and
always time for anybody.
Definitely,
anytime.
It's all right, no worries. All I was going to say was any gigs that you've got up coming up, send me over via Instagram, and I'll put a post on the channel so that we can keep up to date with what you're doing, man. And you have a nice evening. Great speaking with you.
I'm quite proactive on that. Yeah, I'm quite proactive on the old Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and jungle drums and playing signals and carrier pigeons. Most people just find us where I am and they turn up, and it's just nice. And if you like your old school or you like your classics, I'm always knocking about somewhere anyway.
Perfect. You have a nice evening.
In the mix with DJ Rambo Rich.